Good afternoon on what is a mild, grey and cloudy day. It is Wednesday, the 31st of January, and I'm in the mood with a nice hot cup of tea. And a parcel to continue unboxing. This quite terrible packaging. So what I've pulled out, let me just get this. What I've pulled out of here so far is a copy of War Stories from Firelock Games, and what I've got pulled out just with it is a copy of Pathfinder Player Core. This is the second edition revised version, and this is the sketch edition of the rulebook. So, forge your legend. A world of adventure awaits, but it needs you to be the hero of the story. Take on the role of a daring adventure with Pathfinder Player Core. This tome contains everything you need to create a player character, outfitting them with mighty weapons and powerful spells, providing all the necessary tools to survive in a world filled with deadly monsters, nefarious villains, and fabulous treasures. The first page of your amazing adventure starts here. So you've got the kind of sketch of the classic quartet of characters for Pathfinder on the front, and you can see some of them on the back. And these are the signature characters that have been right with the Pathfinder intellectual property since the beginning. If you go back to Rise of the Rune Lords, to the campaign, original campaign for Pathfinder, written for Dungeons and Dragons 3.5, those four characters are still with us. They're still appearing as part of this game. So. And we can see more of them inside. Let's see whether yeah, they use the same image on the inside the back cover as well. But let's have a look at the book itself. And there you see that cover done in full colour. It's echoing the Pathfinder original book. But the original rule book with the player characters facing down a dragon, and we move on to the introduction, and basically explanation what a role-playing game is, more artwork. The artwork is fantastic, I really like it. Explain what a role-playing game is, the flow of the game, the role of the players and the game master, and the basis of play, and highlighting essentially that it's gaming for all, that the world is a participant as well, so there are things going on in the game world that will affect the players and vice versa. So exploring the basis of play, defining characters, creating a narrative, essentially how to play the game. So this is quite a dense book, a lot of pages, so we'll basically take a while to flip through. And here we've got a glossary of the key terms you're going to use throughout the play, get used to. And down the side you can see there is a little key, so it's telling you where you are in the book, which section you're in. And then we leap forward, we've got an example of play. And that comes on page 12. So you don't really need to, basically, okay, so not only does this book, it does two things first, and I think that's two great things. So in the space of 3 pages, playing the game, how to play the game. That's the Pathfinder rulebook, telling you how to play. And then it does, then this goes, key terms. Here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to know when you're playing. And then we've told you how to play. We've done we've told you what you need to know, the basics of the terminology. Here's how it's done. Here's an example of play. It's only a couple of pages long, but it's a start. Essentially in 6 pages, it's got the basics there down. So then you've got a guide to how to use the book. And then step-by-step process to start with creating characters. So go through the chapters, introduction, ancestries and backgrounds, classes, skills, feats, equipment, spells, playing the game in more detail, and then the appendices. So starting with character creation. So starting off with the concept of ancestry, and essentially ancestry and background, sort of like it's a combination of, sort of like what would be known as race or species in other role-playing games. The terminology has changed, and it's reflected in this book, and that's fine. So here we have the ancestries and heritages on one page, and then the classes on the other. There we go. Presented in just thumbnail detail, just to capture and pique the interest of the reader. This is really aimed at the first time, to what do you want to play. And then it's going to take you step by step through that process. From those decisions, from the core concept to the final details. So, there we go. And this really is my primary, I suppose, the primary sort of like experience with exposure to Pathfinder. I've only played it a couple of times, and not in a long while, because it's not necessarily a style of gaming that I actually engage in, or my friends engage in. This doesn't mean I'm not interested in it. I would take the opportunity to play it if I could. It's the sort of thing I would like to sit down and play in a long campaign. And the great thing about Pathfinder is there are lots of campaigns. The adventure paths are essentially 3 or 6 part mini campaigns, and there's some great ones out there depending upon what you want. There's been discussion of playing through Abomination Vaults. I would love to try Rise of the Rune Lords, or Kingmaker, or that looks terrific. So here we have more detailed explanation of ancestries and backgrounds, and every one of them is going to get, every ancestry is going to get a 2-page spread like that. And in fact, actually more than that, because you've got all the heritages. Heritages are sort of like kind of abilities and feats particular to that heritage. Sorry, I do have to make myself think. Okay, they're called heritages. I mean, obviously, when I started gaming, and for a very long time, it's been called races, and that's no problem. That's been no problem until now. But as I say, things are changing. And I have no problem with that change. But, so bear with me on that. So that's the gnome. Including fantastic hair on that thing. On that. Goblin as a playable heritage, ancestry, as it were, and that's a lot of fun. Because the thing is, I kind of if there are ancestries and heritages that I kind of enjoy playing. Halflings these days are an absolute favourite of mine, purely because I'm playing Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and I also happen to like playing the One Ring as well. And also the idea of playing a goblin absolutely piques my interest. They've got standard humans. And then leshies, these are basically taken from one of the supplements, not necessarily in the original version. But I mean, Pathfinder is sort of like, about a decade old so now. So games have changed. It's incorporating previous content into the core rules. So you can play a character with a plant heritage or ancestry. Then we have versatile heritages, including the changeling, Nephilim. Mixed ancestries. And then we move on to backgrounds. I mean, backgrounds are sort of like, you know, like bandit or cook or miner, fortune teller. These are all options, and they're going to give you good benefits in play, and a bit of background as well for you to essentially work into your character. Details about language. So, you know, basically this is going to tie into that setting of I'll just flip back. Galarian and the Inner City. This is the default setting for Pathfinder and all of its content. There's nothing here that's, I mean, much like Dungeons and Dragons, there is nothing to stop a game master taking this and running your own setting, creating your own content for play at table. And then we move on to classes. We've got another great piece of action artwork, essentially of the two of the signature characters for the Pathfinder role-playing game. Discussion of sort of like how to read a class entry, how to understand the information that we're going to give you when choosing a character. So playing the class, key attributes, hit points, initial proficiencies, advancement, class features, and so on, like class skill, general feats, if skill increases, attribute boosts, and so on, ancestry feats, and how they all work together. And then you've got a quick breakdown of overview of those. You've got 8 different classes there. So to choose from, so Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Ranger, Rogue, Witch, and Wizard. And then we move into, flip over the page, and there we have the Bard. I think these are all going to be like this kind of layout. You know, basically got the table of advancement, spells, abilities, and so on. Got a table there of advancement. Everything contained for that class is contained within its few pages. So it's actually quite a few pages. So the description of the Bard, you know, and the similar order of the classes is going to run to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, quite a lot here, just for one class, and that's all in one place. So the idea here is that the player never has to refer to other locations. And then move on to Cleric, and again, that's one of the signature characters you can remember all the way back from Rise of the Rune Lords. And there we can see her in her proper glory. I mean, that's a very familiar piece of artwork to fans of Pathfinder and Galarian setting. We have a sample cleric there. And this can do the same. We've got the druid, and that's that's a Leshy there. Oh, fantastic piece of artwork. And there you can see her with her animal companion. And we've got a sample druid there. Basically, how to achieve that build, how to create that type of character. And another one. So you've got sample characters. You know, they're ready to adjust and base just your design. Pick and choose whether or not you want to use that as an NPC or a player character. Then we do the same with a fighter. Again, that's a character all the way back from Rise of the Rune Lords. Again, in his glory. We've got a sample fighter, and it's just going to do this over and over again. And it's a really nicely way of doing it. You know, you have all of the content for the class in one place. You don't need to refer to anything else. You know, all right, you might need to refer to the equipment section, that sort of thing. But again, every class is going to need to do that. So that's the fighter. And then we've got the ranger. I'm just going to flip forward. So we've got a really nice little example ranger there with an animal companion, essentially a little like velociraptor. That's kind of cute. The velociraptor probably isn't. And then we have the rogue, and there is the other one of the other characters from Rise of the Rune Lords. And then a sample rogue. And then a witch. With a nine-tailed fox as her familiar. That's a nice inclusion, basically. Nine-tailed foxes being sort of like mythical creatures of fortune and that sort of thing. And then Cold Fingers, excuse me, passing the pages for the first time on this volume, we have the wizard, and this is the fourth and final of the four characters that were included in Rise of the Rune Lords all those years ago. I mean, it's I've got the original volumes and I've got the collected volume, and it's something I keep meaning to dig out and actually review, because I think it's an interesting campaign. And then following the wizard, we have a section on companions. Each player's characters can have companions with different abilities, and then of course you're including a bewinged tailed cat, or even a strange ferret or stoat-like creature. Not quite sure what that is. This is familiars. So this is familiars as well. So that's there for your wizard, and perhaps for your witch. And we have notes on design, more information on design and characters, so archetypes, so you can actually go out and build character types, so spellcasting archetypes. And here we are, notes on how to do that, including the bard, cleric, druid, even fighter as a spellcaster. Witch and wizard. Then we move on to skills. And basically, notes on the key attributes, skill actions. Now we've got a nice reference table there. Guide to general skill actions. And these are sections that the player needs, the game master will need to read through all of this, but the player necessarily doesn't. You can browse these at his leisure, picking the things out that he needs to know for his character, and perhaps going back in and looking, later on at other options, thinking about other characters he might play in another campaign or scenario. So lots of different skill explanations in here, and then we get on to feats as well. Basically feats are talents that enhance your abilities, and you've got quite a long list of them, because they still very much are part of Pathfinder, whereas they're not so much a part of what Dungeons and Dragons has now become, and certainly not part of the Old School Renaissance. And then chapter 6, if I can, here we go. Well, another nice piece of artwork, fighting a serpent of some kind under the water. And then we move on to equipment, which, all the important things you're going to carry. And we've got a selection of basically we've got quick equipment packages for the various classes. So you basically don't even need to read through all this section. Just grab that and go. And then we move on to the specifics. So we've got armor and illustrated, and then just plus descriptions. We move on to weapons, and you've got various illustrations of the weapons there, and more, including a fearsome dog slicer. Yeah. And you've got extra weapon traits, so that can be important in play as well. And then it's followed by weapon descriptions, and then we move on to general gear. So I'm not going to show you every page of that. It's the alchemy gears and so on, finishing off before we move on to the actual spells. So if you've got spellcaster, you do actually need to move to refer to the spell section. But I mean, it's here's this working out sort of like how spell slots work, prepared spells, spontaneous spells, heightened spells, so you can enhance them. Quick discussion of magical additions there, and the essences, and then other traits. And then we get onto the spell lists. And I think the other thing, sort of like socially, I mean, I think Pathfinder is a very popular game, and it's tend to be you tend to get sort of like it's probably one of the most popular role-playing games alongside Dungeons and Dragons, because people are going to play that or Pathfinder. So yeah, you've got all of these spells listed, and then individual descriptions by alphabetical, so that's all alphabetical, and then we have focus spells by class as well. So yeah, Pathfinder is very popular and quite well organised in its community and so on. And it's imagine a couple of times it's been I've been at Gen Con on the very first day, at that point where the trade hall opens and the halls fill up, and there's always a big crowd by the door nearest the Pathfinder, the Paizo stand. Literally just shouting you basically, don't run, basically, but walk as walk to to the location you want to go. And a lot of people, that's part of that on the first day. That is the Paizo stand. So, chapter 9, playing the game. So advice on basically what the Pathfinder baseline is. Rolling the dice, so your 20-sided die, attack rolls, spell attack rolls, so on, defenses, immunity, weaknesses, and resistances are covered here as well. So you've got the basics of the rules, at least on playing it. It's not leaving you unprepared to play, it's telling you, what you're going to be doing. Dice you're going to be rolling, discussions, conditions related to dining, because of course adventuring is a dangerous activity. And then we move on to hero points and how to use them. The actions that you as a player character can take, or your player character can take. Discussion of all of those. Movement discussed in detail, including speed, burrow speed, climb speed, fly speed, swim speed, then falling, which is another kind of speed. Playing out on terrain, if that's what you want to do. Basically, use miniatures, or you're playing online in a VTT. So you've got examples of that. If you're doing something other than theatre of the mind. and then play in encounter mode. So in its structure, essentially, you know, this is combat, handling special encounters, special battles, mounted combat, aerial combat. And then exploration mode, this is sort of movement around an area, searching, looking, that sort of thing, rather than, you know, drawing your sword and so on. And then we have downtime mode, that sort of the activities between adventures, or, you know, at the end of the day of an adventuring. And the first of the appendix lists all of the conditions. And then we've got the character sheet. Including all of them, and we've got basically a sheet for all of the spells. Combined glossary and index, which I think is terrific. You know, basically it's been in previous books, and it's a great idea. You know, I need to look something up. Oh, it's actually telling me what I'm looking up at the same time as telling me where I can find out more information. That's a great touch. Yeah, so yeah, that brings everything to a close in the revised edition of the Player Core for the second edition of Pathfinder from Paizo. I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here, so let's just do this with a package containing a book or game, in this case a role-playing game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.